And greetings, everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. My name is Peter Slemmy, and today we are joined by Brandy, also known as the conservative Texas chick. And we're going to be talking about South Africa today. Brandy, welcome to the program. Appreciate you doing this.
Hi, Peter. Thank you for having me.
And
I apologize if my video is a little choppy.
Okay. That's okay, as long as we can see you and we can hear you. Turn off the media there. That was my tablet. Now, I'm going to interview Brandy for just a little bit. And if anybody wants to, I'll let everybody know if they want to call in and ask Brandy a question. Or sure. If you have a question on the chat room, and I'll read off the chat. So let me just interview her for a little bit, and then we'll take your calls afterward if you want to call in and ask Brandy any questions. Brandy, how long have you been watching what's been going on in South Africa?
I've been watching this unfold for more than 10 years, 12 to 13 years, I know for sure. I've been watching this unfold in agony.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely terrible what's going on there. But before we get into that, the government in South Africa right now, there's pretty much no democracy there, is there not?
No, it's communist. That's not any democracy I've ever seen in my life.
So they're pretty much like a socialist type of party, right?
Communist.
Communist. It's even worse.
Sorry, I define socialist differently than full-on communist. I mean, they're both, to me, socialist, communist state.
And, well, doesn't the current government rule like a bunch of terrorists right now as well?
Not only terrorist, but full-on mafioso, gangster state. I'll give you an example. From the beginning of 2016 to the end of 2018, there were 90 murders within the ANC. So these are murders where they took out each other for positions of power and money. So this is how they rule within their party. Imagine how they rule the people that they are meant to protect.
Oh, that's incredible. So not only are they oppressing their own people, they're even going up against each other as well. This is like the Roman Empire all over again.
The New York Times, actually, I never thought I would quote the liberal New York Times, but even the New York Times is so fed up with this corruption within the ANC. Anyone can go and Google the stories that they've written. They wrote a story on this, and it's called Hitmen in Power. And you can read what they have to say. And they did their homework because they're absolutely correct.
And is it true that like 80% of the taxpayers don't even vote for this government?
Yes.
But I guess that doesn't really matter.
So I listen, a lot of people, everyone in South Africa suffers that's a citizen. Everyone. The government just manipulates and brainwashes the masses by blaming all of their problems on the white minority, right? So this is a tiny minority of 4.5 million people. And the government has, for 25 years, told these people from, they go to elementary schools and preach to elementary school children with shirts on that say, land or death, or the EFF goes, and they sing Kill the Boer. These are the people going to elementary schools. So when you're indoctrinated from youth to believe that these people are responsible for everything you're suffering, you believe it, right?
Mm-hmm.
When the truth is, it's the government. They wear $10,000 suits. They live in mansions. They drive supercars while the people starve. But the people don't realize that it's the government. So it's blamed on the farmers
Right. So,
who provide the food.
and so it's clearly indoctrination
The
what's going on right
conflict.
now.
Yeah, and brainwash. The education system has completely failed. So you have to remember a lot of the people they don't even get an education, you know? I advocate for the farmers and the white minority on a greater scale because of the brutality of these crimes and because they are solely based on race. These are not robberies. These are not this is not everyday crime.
Right.
You know, these are targeted attacks with brutality, torture, and viciousness that you can't imagine.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference.
Right. And they've also taken away the guns from the white minority as well. So they can't even defend themselves against their own government.
Well, they've not taken away all of the guns. What they have done is they did do a confiscation of weapons. And the laws are different for the whites in South Africa. Okay. They have hundreds of laws against them, you know, that others do not have. So they did the confiscation. In order to obtain a weapon, the red tape is so, I mean, there's so much red tape. The waiting time is so long, and then the cost is astronomical. So your everyday, you know, person, their rent is more than the money that they make every month, right?
Mm-hmm.
The normal everyday South African. It's nearly impossible for just regular everyday people to obtain weapons. There are those that are armed legally, but there are many laws against them, and it's much more complicated than just defending yourself. Because I mean, they run the risk of, even if someone breaks in their home and is attacking them and they shoot them, most likely they will be charged with murder.
The one who is
even if they're in their home.
The one who is defending themselves will be charged for murder?
They try to do this, yes.
Really? So even
yes.
Even with strict gun laws, there's still a lot of violence going on in South Africa.
Because why? Criminals don't care about laws.
That's what that's the point I've been saying on this program over and over again.
And your own government are murderers and criminals. Listen, Deputy President David Mabuza, we filed a case on him with the Zondo Commission with a court document stamped by the magistrate from a hired hitman that worked for him. And it's so detailed. It tells who they killed, where, why. I mean, it can be corroborated. There are survivors. This is the deputy president of the country. Nothing done. And this man says that the two hitmen that helped him are buried on David Mabuza's farm, that they've been killed. So this is the man second in charge of the country. There's no law and order. There's no checks and balances. There's nothing. It's it's really heartbreaking.
What do you think happened, Brandy, from the time when Mandela took over South Africa till now? And I don't know, how do you feel about Nelson Mandela? Let's start out. How'd you feel about Nelson Mandela when he ruled the country during that time?
Well, a lot of people, I'm just going to be honest. Okay. Nelson Mandela has been hailed a hero across the world. Mm-hmm. This is absolutely false. This is categorically untrue. This is a lie perpetrated by the if you want to call it the New World Order, whatever you want to call it, Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. Nelson Mandela is responsible for thousands of deaths. He should have never been released from prison. This is also a complicated situation because PK Botha, he handed the country over to F.W. de Klerk, right? When he did that, F.W. de Klerk, he betrayed his people. It's said that he was paid large sums of money to hand over the government to the ANC, okay? Nelson Mandela was also the leader of, it's the terrorist wing of the ANC. I can't pronounce it, but everyone who's South African will know exactly what I'm talking about. So this was his wing of terrorists that went out and placed these bombs, wherever he wanted them placed. For example, a railway station, there was a bomb placed there. Women and children were killed. He was charged with like 100, he was convicted 106 crimes relating to terrorism, murder. He should have never been released from prison. This was a bullshit lie, spoon-fed and shoved down the throats of people by the world.
Because the world
He was a terrorist.
The world pretty much embraced him when apartheid came to an end and he came into power. But did he renounce all that violence that he committed or not?
I mean, listen, a mouth can say anything in public, right?
Right.
But I have a document from 1993, which that's before the ANC took power, right? They took power in 1994. And this is a leaked ANC document, and it tells of the plan to slowly boil the Afrikaner and the Boer community like frogs, okay? So that by the time they realize what has happened, it will be too late for them to jump out of the water, right? Mm-hmm. So that's before they took power. He knew you can portray what you want to the world. He was a terrorist. He should have never been released from prison. Had F.W. de Klerk not been president, I think this, and in my opinion, had PK Botha been willing to compromise at all, which he was not, maybe South Africa would be in a better place. It's not my place to say whether apartheid needed to end or what needed to happen. I'm not in South Africa. But what I do know is that something was working. It was the first world country with a first-class military, okay? Right. They're good and bad in every society. But something else should have been done. The country should not have been handed over to communist terrorists, because look what's happening today. Look at Johannesburg.
So from Mandela's time till now, it's just been corruption, death, murder. It didn't start out that way, did it? When the ANC took over?
It started before.
It started before.
The farm murders have been happening since, listen, I have the name of every murdered person on a rural holding, a farm, since 1987. So farm murders have been happening since before the ANC took over. You have to remember, they have a terrorist, wing. It's just happening in a different way than it was way back then. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing. They're all one and the same. So the torch keeps passing from one corrupt person to the next, but they're all in on it. If you look at this trial that they just had for Zuma, this big sham of a trial, right? No one can say anything on him. Mm-hmm. It was just a show, a waste of money. Because why? Because they're all involved. And if they say something on him, guess what? Everyone's going down. Yeah. It was for nothing.
Let's talk about the farmers. Now, now we're talking about farmers that have been there 8, 9 generations. These farms have been passed down. And here we see there's organizations like BLF and others saying, you know, we're coming for you. We want your land. And they don't even want to give them compensation for it. How are the farmers dealing with this, with this policy? And their policy even is saying that if we're going to do it by the law, and if there is no law, we're going to change the law to get these farms from them.
Number one, it's against international law to take people's land without compensation. Mm-hmm. Number two, these people have been there since the United States was a country. Yes, they own a great amount of land. They settled the Cape in 1652. Mm-hmm. The only people there, sparsely, were the Khoisan people.
Right.
They made deals. They made treaties with the Khoisan people, okay? And they acquired this land. So when this land began being built up and people saw, you know, the progress being made, the economy, well, then they started migrating from other parts of Africa.
Right.
So if you want to get technical on who's the squatter, it's not the Dutch. The fact is, there would be no South Africa without these people. It would be just like the rest of Africa. And that's the truth.
Right. And you got BLF saying, we're coming for your land to take it back. And take it back from whom?
Exactly. You never owned it.
Exactly.
The BLF, by the way, is no more.
Oh,
They're not a political party anymore. They, I'm very happy about this, but you know, they preach hate and they have been disqualified or whatever you want to call it from participating in politics. And but like the EFF, for example, yesterday, Malema is on video telling the black people, because there's an internal war. Okay, they're killing blacks that are foreign nationals, right? So Nigerians, things like that. He's telling them, stop killing black people. Basically, start killing the white people.
Yeah, yeah.
They're the ones who want to invest their money in our economy. They're the ones that won't do this. They're the ones. Also, he is inciting it against the Chinese and the Indian as well. Mm-hmm. But the farmers, some of these people, this land is not easy to farm. It's very hard to farm. It's not, you know, there are droughts. The ability to be able to farm this land has been passed down hundreds of years. Some of these farmers in the Transvaal, this land has been in their family for 300 years. You know, these people are not going to give up their land without a fight.
Oh, I know. And I've seen interviews with the white farmers, and they are downright, they just say, no, we are not giving up our land. And I don't blame them. Like 8, 9 generations been passed down. Why should they give it up?
If deeds meant nothing, we wouldn't have them.
Exactly. So.
And I'll tell you one more thing. There was a point where the ANC, they were compensated for land, right? Uh-huh. They bought something like 100 and I don't remember the exact number, but they bought more than 130 farms, right? Something around there. And it was like an experiment. They gave these farms over to some black farmers and others to farm. So today, there are only about 26 of these farms that are still operational. And when I say operational, I don't mean fully operational. I mean that are even still on their last leg. So what does that tell you? That there was a 90% failure rate.
Right.
When they did this.
Right. And that hurts the economy. The farms go down, the economy is just going to tank.
These farmers provide the food for 70% of Africa.
Yeah, it's just a breadbasket for Africa, pretty much. Just like our farms
and they
here.
Provide a lot to America.
Right,
yeah.
Right. Just like our farms here in North America is the breadbasket for pretty much, well, almost the world, pretty much, outside of Africa anyway. So I mean, you mess with that, you're messing with the entire economy.
This government and the people that are brainwashed by this government, they don't care. Mm-hmm. They don't care if they suffer. They don't care if they tear everything down and there is nothing left, so long as there is not a white person in charge of anything. That is what they care about. I mean, they'll burn all their own stuff. They don't care.
Wow. Okay, I want to talk about the farmers being murdered, but I want to show this clip first of Julius Malema saying, "Kill the boar." You'll be able to hear it, but I don't think you'll be able to see it on your screen. But I just want to show the audience this first. All right. 1 second. And I'm not getting any sound, so I guess I'll just come back. All right, I wasn't getting...
Right now, Peter, right now at this moment, I'm receiving emails and emails and messages and emails that our country is in anarchy at the moment. People are afraid and nothing is being done. You're not seeing this on the media.
Right.
You're not seeing anything.
And
I'm ashamed.
I mean, I saw, you've probably seen the documentary by Lauren Southern called Farmlands.
Yes.
You're familiar with that. I remember you mentioned saying that there's something that those documentaries by Southern and Hopkins, there's things that they're not telling us.
Well, I do not want to take away anything
No, they were excellent
these
documentaries. Yeah.
Exactly. They did their absolute best. I mean, and they got massive attention and got this information out to the best of their ability. So I'm definitely not trying to take away. What I meant by that is that, I've been so immersed in this community in the politics and the greater symptoms of why these things are happening for such a long time now that I have kind of, I guess an advantage, I guess, where maybe they didn't going in, right? So I understand the very complicated issues that are not put out there or are not known, that they most likely didn't know about. And there are a lot of things that the world needs to hear that they didn't put out in these documentaries.
Okay, examples.
And I watched them. I watched both of them, and I kept saying, "But what about this? And but what about this? And what about this?" And it was because I have a knowledge of certain things, and they weren't revealed, and I know that the things that I know and the things that need to be revealed are things that are really earth-shattering, that can change everything.
Right. Well, can you give us maybe an example of some things that they didn't report?
Yeah, South Africa, they've been storing fuel for Iran, first of all. The Chinese is there taking over, pretty much. Of course, we know that it's a huge issue that China owns about 80% of the precious metals in the world. These precious metals are actually needed to operate the U.S. military weapon systems. A lot of these metals are. Okay, so if China owns all of these and we have to go to war, where does that leave the U.S., right?
Right.
This is an issue, okay? Not only that, but uranium. They're mining uranium. There is uranium being stored that's left over from apartheid. Number one, that they're not supposed to have. And number two, it's not being kept in a safe location. Okay, there have been at least 3 break-ins that I have proof of. One of those break-ins, the Chinese is responsible for. The ANC knows it, and nothing was done. You know, these are major things, you know, major things.
Right.
Things like, it's just things like that. But there are so many other things, you know, with the fact that the Indian community, they have hate incited against them by Julius Malema. He hates everybody. Okay, they suffer greatly. Their shops are destroyed, looted. I mean, they suffer being terrorized. Okay, the colored community as well. These people are treated like, I mean, they're terrorized. Any black person who dares to speak the truth on what is going on with these farm murders, they put themselves at risk of being murdered. They're seen as basically the same, you know? So it's so many other factors to this. And there are so many people that don't agree with it, but they're petrified. They're petrified to speak out, you know? I wrote the Indian government on behalf of the Indian people, and provided proof of the incitement against them by Julius Malema. You know, I'm constantly attacked by white liberals. It's funny because these are the only people that attack me as evil racists.
Yeah, right.
White liberals in South Africa. When I'm fighting for everyone. Have you seen what's going on in the street? I know I sent you a couple of clips yesterday. It's heartbreaking and it is sad.
Yeah.
And if white people are going to be the only ones to suffer, let me tell you something. White people make up 4.5 million people in this country. It's called South Africa. There are more than 50 million blacks. There are about 4.5 million Indian community and about the same colored Khoisan. There are way more people being murdered and having violence incited against them than just white people.
And I've seen some of the images that some of the images of the farm murders that have taken place, and you just sent me a message about a half an hour ago about a 2-year-old baby getting raped and killed. I mean, just the images I've seen are just so grotesque. Is anybody trying to put a stop to it?
It doesn't seem like it. So, just for your viewers that may not know, a lot of the people that carry out these farm murders, right? They go to their Sangoma before they carry out an attack, or for whatever reason, it may be for something else, right? So I guess I can explain Sangoma to people that don't understand as a type of voodoo for an American person that can't understand. So their Sangoma this tells them that the more pain inflicted in an attack, to cause the worst pain imaginable, will give them muti. And muti is special power to be invisible during battle, or what other kind of ridiculous crap.
Right.
To eat a farmer's heart gains his knowledge. To rape a virgin cures AIDS, and the younger, the more powerful the cure, right? So what do you do to a man to cause him the most pain imaginable in the world? What do you do to a man? You torture his family. You rape his children in front of him. You torture them, you know, and they'll cut the Achilles tendon of the mother and father, you know, and they'll force them to watch what they do to the children. Then they will move on to the wife. They will brutally gang rape her in front of the husband. Not only they use objects. I mean, I have a horror story of a lady who, I mean, it's the most horrifying story of rape I've ever read in my life. But the children, I started looking further into this because with all the rapes, I was suspicious that you hear about all the children being murdered in the farm murders, but it doesn't always say they were raped. Well, with my knowledge of what they do to the children, and that half of these attackers usually have AIDS, right?
Yeah.
Why isn't, what's going on here? Something's not right. So with the Potgieter family, this is the husband. When he arrived home from work, he was chopped in the back of the head with they call it a panga. It's like a machete. He was stabbed 150 times with a garden fork. His wife, I believe she was shot 3 times and she bled to death. The little baby, Wilmian, I think was her name, I'm not positive. She was 2 years old and she was picked up by her hair and she was shot in the back of the head twice, right? It says nothing about a rape, but I know someone who was at the scene, and they told me that the baby was raped. Okay, let me just say I don't know this to be 100% fact. It did come from a reliable source that I trust and that would not make something like this up. So in my research to find out, okay, why isn't something like this reported? What I found was that this is common occurrence, that the children are brutally raped like that, even a baby, a 2-year-old baby, and that the coroner doesn't want to do the exam. They don't want to put that out there. Mm-hmm. They don't want to put that information out. They don't want to do the examination. They don't want to do it. But I'm told that this is a huge problem, and it absolutely happens more often than not.
And so they're trying to suppress that kind of information to go out to the public, including the media. Exactly. The media is not doing the public any favors, or the world. The media is trying to suppress all of this, aren't they?
Yes, they are. They fail. These women that are brutally murdered and these children, they fail them quite often by not giving them the coverage that someone should get in these cases.
Yeah, and they're just the media is just trying to dismiss all this as just a bunch of burglaries and robberies, but that's just not the case.
Regular everyday crime. And I will tell you one thing, the government, they manipulate the numbers, right? So to the world, they make these farm murders seem small because they lump them in with all of the crime. Okay, so the murder rate in South Africa as a whole is 34.2 of 100,000, right? Mm-hmm. That's astronomical, first of all. The murder rate in America is 2 to 3 per 100,000. The murder rate of a white South African farmer and family is 156 per 100,000. The problem is they don't, until this past year, they didn't report these murders based on race, right?
Right.
So they lumped them in with everyone else. And then the murder rate looks small. But why? Because they're only 8% of the population. But when you tell people the murder rate of this tiny minority population versus everyone else, it changes everything. But they lump it all in together. So then the world says, oh, this is not a problem. It's only this many people. Yeah, it's only this many people, but there are only this many of them.
Right. And so they're basically losing, is it a farmer per week?
There is a farm attack every day.
Every day.
You might as well go ahead and say there is a farm attack every day. In some cases, they're able to fight them off, or for whatever reason, a person's not killed. There is a farm attack almost every single day. Give or take, there may go a day without one. Mm-hmm. There is a farmer killed in South Africa let's just say every 3 days, and that's giving some space.
Right. And I've seen the footage from Lauren Southern's documentary where they're hunkered down, they're armed, everything is gated to protect themselves, because it just happens quite often that these people are attacked. I mean, it's just a regular thing that happens now.
And they don't sleep at night a lot of times because especially think about the people that don't have all that protection, that can't afford it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because their security, the price of the security around their homes is greater than the price of their home. So a lot of times they don't sleep at night. I get a lot of messages because our time, our time differences are, opposite.
Yeah.
I can't sleep, because I've heard something outside, and, people are worried for their children, just like the little girl that was ripped from her mom at, just yesterday, and she was being held for ransom. It's just not safe.
Mm-hmm.
It's not safe for anyone.
And then now there's people like there's that actor singer Hoffmeyer.
Steve Hoffmeyer,
who is speaking out about this, and he's
Yes.
getting treated in the media kind of like Tommy Robinson in England. Here's a guy who's
Donald Trump.
Yeah, right. Here's a guy speaking out about this, and all they can do is just label him a racist, a bigot, and all of that. This is what the media does to people speaking out about what's going on in South Africa. It's absolutely terrible what's going on.
I would like to say something about that on Steve Hoffmeyer, because I defend him fiercely. And I do this because, Steve could have just kept his mouth shut, kept singing, kept acting, kept just doing his thing, and not been boycotted and lost money and attacks and being charged with hate speech and all of these ridiculous, disgusting stories about him.
Yeah.
And calls for him to be murdered. I keep every one of the screenshots, and I make sure to let the South African government know that we know Steve Hoffmeyer and that we know Ernst Rhodes. And if something happens to these men, they are responsible, and the world is watching them. Okay? But Steve didn't do that. He spoke for his people. And I may not be South African, but I speak for him because not enough of his people do stand up and get behind him. They judge him for ridiculous reasons that no man's perfect. So maybe you have things in your personal life. None of that matters. What matters is this man gave up a lot of things, and mainly his safety, to speak for you. And you should stand behind him.
Absolutely. He should be honored for, I mean, he could have just went on with blinders on and just keep acting and singing and just forget about the whole thing, but he didn't. He said, no, this is wrong. Enough is enough. And he's using his star power to use it.
But, and it's another complicated issue, but some people just don't respect that. They don't see it that way.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's another complicated issue, but I won't stand for it. So every time they do this to him, I will speak out for him.
Right. That's great. That you're doing that. That's wonderful. All right. We're going to, if anybody wants to call in, anybody has a question for Brandy, of course, the number's on the screen, 905-447-4415. Don't call on Skype because I got Brandy on Skype, so it won't work. So give us a call.
I would
if you
like to tell you.
Sorry?
I'm sorry, Peter. I did not mean to interrupt you. I didn't mean to. I wanted to mention my great friend. Her name is Alice VL, and I wanted to mention her book on here because the proceeds from this book actually go to an organization that was started by Steve Hoffmeyer, Toekomsbank. So, and it is about everything going on in South Africa right now. Okay, it's called My Turn South Africa. And it's written by Alice VL. You can find it on Amazon. You can Google it. But as I said, this is a great book. And all the proceeds from this book, 90% of the proceeds go directly to Toekomsbank. And Steve is a silent board member, so it's run by someone else. But they help the Afrikaner, the Boer community in many different ways. So I really wanted to mention this.
Okay, no, that's great. And at the end of the show, you can give us all your contact information if you want, your YouTube channel link at the end of the program. No problem. So yeah, like if anybody wants to call, anybody got a question for Brandy, call me 905-447-4415. We'll take your calls. And also, if you just want to ask a question on the chat room, you can do that as well. Some person wrote here, what's Donald Trump or Putin doing about this? Now, one woman, I'm going to show this clip. Hopefully the sound works. I don't know why the sound didn't work unless the other clip. I'm going to show this one clip where one woman from South Africa actually thanked Donald Trump for actually recognizing what's going on there. Let's take a look at this clip. Hopefully it works. Now the sound isn't working. I don't know why. Okay. Sorry about that. The sound, for some reason, doesn't seem to be working. But she thanked Donald Trump, and she also said, don't believe what the media is telling you about what's going on over here in South Africa. Farmers are being slaughtered. That is the truth. What do you think about that clip, Brandy?
Well, listen, Donald, think about this. This has been happening for 25 years. And I had almost given up hope on this. This was my greatest world issue. I mean, for many years. And the day that he tweeted about this, I realized what that meant, okay? I realized that the most powerful man in the world just brought this issue front and center, and that we all had to run through that door at the same time. He gave us an opportunity, and we have to be smart enough to take it. I didn't have social media before that. I joined then. I knew what he was doing. You know, and a smart man doesn't reveal his cards before he's ready to play them, and he can't. Mm-hmm. I just pray that he doesn't wait until it's too late.
Yeah, that's good. That's a really good point, because some people are saying here, Putin, Russia has taken in some farmers, haven't they?
Yes.
They have.
They have.
About...
I don't feel comfortable speaking on the in-depth on it where Russia's concerned, because I don't know all of the dynamics. I do know that they are doing things to help and that things have been put into place, but I don't know enough about it to really give them good answers.
Okay. And what about Australia?
Well, Australia had a great supporter in Fraser Anning and another senator. That has since gone when they were attacked. I mean, I know many Australians support it, but as far as support from the government, that has gone away. I mean, pretty much as and when I'm saying gone away, I mean as in refugee status or bringing them over there in numbers or things like that. You know, there are people still sympathetic, but I don't believe there's a lot being done in the government.
Now, one question here is, why are none of the leaders, world leaders, stepping up to help these people? Why do you think that is?
Well, this is just my opinion, and the opinion of a few people that I know, is that South Africa has a lot to offer the world, yeah, right? As far as things that have monetary value, right? So if you have a competent person in government there, you're not able to take advantage of that, right? So if Donald Trump was the president in South Africa, you're not going to be stealing their minerals. You're not going to get them for nothing,
right?
You know? So there's a motive. There has to be. There's something greater in play here. for this to just be allowed to continue. Not just the murder of the farmers, but just the government. They get away with murder. They do whatever the hell they want to. Their power grid, like you had one job, keep the power on. Nope, didn't do that. You stole all the money that was used to upgrade the infrastructure or maintain the power stations. So now their power grid is on the very verge of collapse.
And that
So I have no other. No, this has been happening. It's been happening. It's insane, and just that all of this is ignored, because if that power grid goes down, it's going to be worse than Zimbabwe without them taking the land.
Exactly.
And it's just allowed to continue by the world. Why?
And
I wish I knew, guys.
I'm ashamed of my own country here in Canada, who've pretty much just turned their back on some of South Africa's refugees that wanted to come to Canada, and they would fit right in with our population. But no, they just turned them down.
Same here, and it is our fault. When I say our, I mean the world governments, including America, including Canada, including Sweden, including all of these people. We forced them into this. 25 years later, this is where they are. And no one even, I mean, it's ignored like it's not happening. We sure had a lot to say back then, 25 years ago.
Oh, we had a lot to say.
Why does no one have anything to say today?
Well, some people are saying that, is it because they are white that we won't take them in?
Yes.
Just
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, listen, if Donald Trump opened our borders to white South African farmers, okay, it cannot be done like that. I believe things are happening behind the scenes, but not all people want to leave, and they shouldn't have to. The shit should be stopped, period. We have the power to stop it. And for anyone who says we don't have the power, I've done the numbers. Less than 1% of the U.S. military force could go in, remove their government, be used as peacekeepers, put an interim government into place, and bring these people up on charges in the ICC. Less than 1%. And I'm just showing that as an example of it. It wouldn't take a lot of effort to try to right the country, and not just for white people, for everybody.
Right. I know.
Because the people being burned in the street in Johannesburg right now are not white.
I understand that. It just seems to me that the white South Africans seem to be the target, the scapegoat. They're blamed for everything, and that it just seems that everything seems to be zeroing in on them, and no one's doing anything about it. Like here in Canada, we had a hijab hoax that took place that went around the world. Even the Prime Minister weighed in on it, of course, favoring the little girl who said her hijab got ripped off her head, and it wasn't true. But that went around the world. But what's happening in white South Africa barely makes the news. So you can see why I'm taking issue with it.
It does make Tucker Carlson is the only person to have the guts to speak up on this, and I thank you, Tucker Carlson, from the bottom of my heart. And let me just tell you that the world wanted these people. When these farmers and this community could benefit them in their wars, because they're known for, being able to fight wars, for being tough and strong. When we could use them to our advantage, we did. Well, these same men that fought for us in the Iraq war and in many other wars around the world, these are these farmers. These are the men that their children are being slaughtered. And they fought for your country and for mine.
And now they're just left as lambs to the slaughter now.
That's right.
That's It's so sad. Are there any organizations that are doing anything about this that are in outside of South Africa, like in your country or mine?
um, I don't really know many. I speak to Dr. Stanton of Genocide Watch, the founder of Genocide Watch. He knows of my agony. I email him almost every day, and he's retired, and I'm sure he probably just wants to get on with it. But
Yeah.
He's a good man, and he's the only man to touch this issue, and I can't not try my best, you know. But there is the King Resettlement Program. This is a program started by a few people that I know that are South African, that are American citizen, an American citizen right now. They have actively gotten people to America safety, to file for asylum and things like that. They are not fully funded. I mean, they got these people here on a wing and a prayer, using their own money a lot of times to provide hotels and stuff. And I mean, so they're not fully funded. I don't want people to go and flood them because they need donations, like they need funding to continue to operate, you know. But they are actively getting people here, and I know a lot of people that speak out and that are trying really hard to just make a difference. They raise money for different organizations for I want to be careful about what I say, but you know, there's the youth there, the white youth, they're not wanted in the military. Okay, they don't serve in the military anymore. So there is a need for training for people to be able to protect themselves, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to say organizations openly because I don't wish to, you know, I can't. But there are organizations there that do this, you know, that are teaching people how to defend themselves under worst case scenario, you know, that to stay on the defense only, you know, they don't want a war. No one wants a war. You know, everyone wants it stopped, but in the event that you have to defend yourself, you know.
Well, I saw that
people
footage.
need to be ready.
I saw that footage of from Katie Hopkins' documentary where they were actually teaching her how to defend herself, use weapons. So that is going on
there. Yes, I don't want to speak about it.
Okay.
But there are, if people want to donate money and things like this, there are good people that are doing everything they can to prepare people, and this stuff costs money, you know, to do.
Okay, well, I guess people are just going to have to research it if they want to support any.
They can contact me privately, and I will speak to them. I'll give my email address, and they can contact me privately, and you know, I can give a recommendation on groups that are in need of, you know, this type of help, this type of thing.
Okay.
I can't, you know, to say some things openly bring unwanted, they give ammunition to the enemy of your friend, you know?
Yeah, right.
And even though doing nothing wrong, I don't wish to do that.
Okay. Now, how has this all affected you personally, on a personal level?
Well, on a personal level, so I am attacked very viciously. I'm threatened with being deplatformed. All my social media is attacked. My Twitter is constantly taken down, where I reach hundreds of thousands of people every single day. And it's all done by white liberals in South Africa who laugh and think this is funny. But this is their only method for attack. At the moment, I have revealed these people online. I mean, on my YouTube, because you understand they've incited rape, violence. They released all my private info online. I was attacked by EFF, by you name it. Okay.
Wow.
Well, people have been searching for them, and now they are running around with their hair on fire because guess what? They've done this to people for years, and South African people were afraid of them. I'm not afraid of them, and you would be shocked by who these people are. One, for example, his name is Quentin Pretorius, and he is a lecturer at Gibbs University on diversity something. It's just like lesbian dance theory, might as well be. And he goes by the Twitter handle of @stash_Jack, right? This man, come to find out, he claims to be a Christian, but he terrorizes women online. He literally, I have another friend, I won't mention her name, he doxed her. She's a very beautiful young lady, right?
Yeah.
And he doxed her, him and his little group of cronies, another one, Natasha Huckfield. She's an IT specialist, so it says, her and her husband both. She's @delinquent trash on Twitter. They have literally terrorized people. I know one woman that they caused her to lose her job by lying on her. Another woman they caused to lose their job because what they do is they tweet out to their companies and tell them they are racist and all of this, complete lies. My other friend, they told everyone, they put her picture, said she gives free blowjobs. And I'm sorry to be so blunt, but the truth needs to be told.
Yeah.
They told people that we're prostitutes. They even put out that I was a murderer, like fake stories that I murdered people in California. And they constantly get our Twitter accounts taken down. They just got my Twitter account with 27,000 followers taken down. I reach so many people. I mean, when I tweet about South Africa, depending on what I tweet about, it gets thousands of retweets. They take this away and they laugh about it. They don't care. I mean, this is their only goal. But now that they've been revealed, of course, they're freaking out because there's a list of people from the United States to South Africa that have a bone to pick with them. There are consequences for causing people to lose their jobs and you're lying. Mm-hmm. There are consequences for degrading women online, doxing them and telling people that they give free blowjobs. There are consequences for that.
Absolutely.
And these people are despicable. I mean, and it's for no reason. They do it without provocation.
And
it's sick and twisted,
and they're claiming that you are
I've been through hell.
Oh, I could imagine. And they're also claiming that you are spreading false information about South Africa, which is not true. I mean, you got documents up the yin-yang. I mean, you could prove your position anytime.
I have assisted in filing court cases in every high court in the world. Anything that I say, I can provide evidence of. I never make claims of anything that I can't show you in black and white.
Exactly. All right. We didn't get any phone calls, but we had some questions. I was giving you some questions on the chat room. So I'd like to thank everybody for your questions. For Brandy, I really appreciate you doing this. This really needs to go out. This needs to be front and center.
Yes.
Because, I mean, we had...
Thank you so much.
No problem. We had a few documentaries that we mentioned, but they've kind of gone by the wayside. And I feel this story still needs to be front and center because what's happening in South Africa, the world really needs to take notice of what's going on there. And I appreciate all the work that you're doing.
It's something for you.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said because it's coming for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone.
I've been warning people about this, that what's happening there, the same pattern I'm seeing is happening right here in Canada. I'm not too sure about the United States, but I know it's the same patterns happening here in Canada.
It may be in a different way, but it's the same thing.
Absolutely. So
all this is being normalized.
Right. So, Brandy, can you give us your contact information, any links you want to give us before you go?
Yes, I'll give you my Twitter and everything. I don't know how long it will last.
Okay.
This time. hopefully, look, there are some things in motion since I know who these people are. They're going to stop. They're going to be held accountable. So you can find me on Twitter at, and look, all of my Twitter names are to troll them, so take it with a grain of salt, at pretty LIL_GENL. So pretty little general, but it's just GNL_GNL. On Facebook, you can find me at Brandy Etoile, Etoile. I'm banned for 30 days. You can find me on another Facebook at Brandy Thorin, THORIN.
Okay.
My YouTube and BitChute are Conservative Texas Chick. You can find a lot of information about South Africa there. And if you want to email me, if you have questions about what you can do or anything, it's conservativetexaswoman@gmail.com. Email me there. I reply. I will assist in any way I can. And I just had a website go up. It's still under construction. There's still a lot of work to be done on it, but it has a lot of good information. It has the video that Peter's speaking about Julius Malema saying, "Kill the Boer." And there's also a video on there where I showed the contrast between what Steve Hoffmeyer says and what Julius Malema says. Yet Steve is the most evil racist in the world, and Julius Malema is not guilty of hate speech. Please go on there and check it out. It's msasa.now.com. So make South Africa safe again.com, but just the letters. And there are blogs where you can read. There are pictures. There's a lot on there. As I said, it's still under construction, but please go and check it out.
Okay, that's great. And I got some of the links in the Facebook box while we're doing this program, so people can also click some of those links to your YouTube channel. And I think I put the email up there as well. So
and don't forget, add in AliceVLO.com. Alice VL, she wrote My Turn South Africa. The proceeds to this book go to Toekomsbank, so they go directly to help the community there, the Afrikaner and Boer and English community. Toekomsbank does a lot to help these people, and this is why the proceeds to that book go there. And it is also an amazing book, and this is my greatest friend who wrote this book.
All right, that's great. Okay, that's everything, I guess.
Yeah, Peter, again, thank you so much for having me. I mean, this issue is my heart, and I really appreciate you taking the time to make an issue of this as well.
Oh, no, anytime. I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, this information needs to go out. Very important, what's going on in South Africa, and it needs to be front and center. The world is ignoring it, and it needs to stop.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to...
And thank you so much to all your viewers, subscribers, everybody. Thank you so much.
And don't forget, after we shut the live stream off, share this video out to everyone. Everyone needs to know what's going on in South Africa. And I'm going to shut the live stream off now, but Brandy, can you just stay just a little while? We talk a little bit after.
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me here on today's live stream. Don't forget to share this out with everyone. And Patriots, have yourself a great day.